an original story created exclusively for Love Among Diamonds. Olivia's hands trembled as she stared at the email that had just shattered her morning. The billionaire CEO, who'd looked at her with such intensity during their accidental blind date, had allowed the rumors about them to spread, not to protect her, but to keep her close, without risking his own vulnerability, through midnight baking sessions in her apartment, charity events with cameras watching their every move, and the electric tension whenever their fingers accidentally touched Ethan Blackwell, had calculated every moment while she'd been falling genuinely for him. Now, standing in her small kitchen with flour dusting her cheeks, Olivia faced the bitter truth. The man who'd seemed to finally see her for who she was had been playing a game all along, and her heart was the collateral damage. "You want me to do what?" Olivia Matthews nearly dropped her phone as she balanced a tray of fresh scones. "Please, Liv. I'm running a fever of 102. Her friend Rachel's voice cracked through the phone. "It's just a blind date at Lumiere. I can't cancel on him again." Olivia sighed, tucking a strand of chestnut hair behind her ear. "Rachel, I'm covered in flour. I have no time to get ready for some fancy restaurant date with a..." Who is he again? Some business executive. My cousin set it up. He's supposed to be important. Important, Olivia echoed, glancing at her modest apartment kitchen where she'd been testing recipes for her blog. Those types always expect perfection. Just go for an hour. Eat some free fancy food. Tell him I'm sick. Olivia checked her watch. 40 minutes until the reservation. Fine. But I'm bringing him one of my pastries as a peace offering for not being you. After a rushed shower, Olivia slipped into her only decent dress, a simple navy blue number that was hardly appropriate for Lumiere. She grabbed her signature cardamom chocolate pastry, carefully wrapped it, and dashed out. The taxi pulled up to the gleaming restaurant, and Olivia felt immediately out of place among the designer dresses and tailored suits. At the hostess stand, she smoothed her still damp hair. "I'm here for the Blackwell reservation," clutching her small, wrapped pastry. "Though I should warn you, he's expecting someone else entirely." Ethan Blackwell checked his watch for the third time, irritation creeping through his carefully maintained composure. He'd agreed to this blind date as a favor to his business partner's wife, a strategic social move, nothing more. His schedule allowed precisely 90 minutes for this obligation before he needed to review the Singapore merger documents. The hostess approached his table. "Mr. Blackwell, your guest has arrived." Ethan stood, straightening his custom suit jacket, expecting to see the polished marketing executive he'd been briefed about. Instead, a woman with slightly damp hair and a simple dress approached, clutching something wrapped in parchment paper. "You're not Rachel Porter," he stated flatly. The woman's cheeks flushed. "No, I'm Olivia Matthews. Rachel has a fever. I'm her friend. Send us the replacement date." She offered an apologetic smile. "I can leave if you'd prefer." Ethan assessed her quickly. No designer labels, minimal makeup, and completely unpretentious. She was the opposite of his usual calculated encounters. "Since you're here, you might as well sit," he said, gesturing to the chair. "Though I only have about 40 minutes now." Olivia placed the wrap package on the table. "I figured you'd be annoyed about the switch, so I brought a peace offering. I was baking when Rachel called." "I don't eat sweets," Ethan replied automatically. "It's not that sweet. It's a cardamom chocolate pastry with sea salt. My specialty." She pushed it toward him. "Consider it compensation for your wasted time." Something about her directness made Ethan pause. No agenda, no networking attempt, no subtle flirtation, just honesty. 40 minutes, he repeated, but didn't push the pastry away. "So you bake," Ethan said after the waiter poured their water. His tone suggested this was hardly a noteworthy occupation. "I teach baking workshops for a community program," Olivia explained, "and I run a food blog anonymously. I like keeping my personal and professional lives separate." Ethan's eyebrow raised slightly. "Anonymous. In an age where everyone craves recognition?" "Not everyone," Olivia countered. "Some of us just love what we do without needing validation from strangers." The waiter returned to take their orders. Ethan requested his usual salmon, without looking at the menu. Olivia ordered the least expensive pasta dish. Throughout their stilted conversation, The wrapped pastry sat between them like a silent mediator. Ethan found himself glancing at it between discussing safe topics. The weather, the restaurant's renovation, the traffic. "You should try it before it gets cold," Olivia finally said, nodding toward the pastry. "They're better warm." "I told you I don't eat sweets. I remember. Just one bite won't kill your discipline." Something in her casual challenge made Ethan reach for the pastry. He unwrapped it carefully, noting the perfectly golden crust and the aroma of cardamom that escaped. He took a small bite, prepared to offer a polite comment. Instead, the complex flavors, buttery, warm with spice, chocolate balanced perfectly with salt, caught him off guard. "Not bad," he said, his voice betraying more appreciation than he intended. Olivia smiled, not the practiced smile of someone seeking approval, but the genuine expression of someone who knew the value of what they'd created. "Not bad," she repeated with a slight laugh. "I'll take that as high praise from someone who doesn't eat sweets." Their 40 minutes stretched to an hour as their conversation shifted from polite small talk to something resembling genuine interest. Ethan found himself asking about her baking program, surprised when she described teaching children from underserved communities. "You do this for free?" he asked. "The program pays a stipend," Olivia explained, "but I'd do it anyway. You should see their faces when they create something with their own hands. For some of these kids, it's the first time anyone's told them they're good at something." Ethan watched her eyes light up as she spoke. Her passion was unguarded, refreshingly authentic in his world of strategic conversations and hidden agendas. When the check came, Olivia reached for her wallet. "Don't be ridiculous," Ethan said, handing his card to the waiter without looking at the bill. "I should pay my share. I wasn't even the person you agreed to meet." "Consider it compensation for the pastry," he replied, surprising himself with the light tone. As they stood to leave, Olivia extended her hand. "Well, Mr. Blackwell, thank you for not kicking me out immediately. I'll tell Rachel you were a perfect gentleman." "Ethan," he corrected, taking her hand. It was warm from holding her teacup, slightly rough from working with flour and dough, nothing like the manicured hands he usually shook across boardroom tables. "Goodbye, Ethan," she said with a small smile before turning to leave. He watched her walk away, suddenly aware that he still held the parchment wrapper from her pastry. He should discard it. His assistant would certainly raise an eyebrow at him keeping trash. But instead, he carefully folded it and slipped it into his jacket pocket. On the wrapper's corner, he noticed a small handwritten note he hadn't seen before. "Life's too short for bland flavors." That night, the wrapper remained on his nightstand, the first unplanned object in his meticulously organized penthouse. 3 weeks after the blind date, Ethan was reviewing quarterly projections in his penthouse when a mechanical whirring penetrated his concentration. He checked his watch, 11:47 p.m. The sound was coming from below, the apartment that had been vacant until recently. After 15 minutes of the persistent noise, Ethan's patience evaporated. He rode the elevator down 1 floor and rapped sharply on the door of apartment 31B. The door swung open, and Ethan found himself staring at a familiar face dusted with flour. "You," he said, momentarily thrown off balance. Olivia Matthews stood in the doorway, hair piled messily atop her head, wearing pajama pants and a flour-covered apron. In her hand was a whisk, still dripping with batter. "Mr. Blackwell," she said, eyes widening. "You live here?" "Penthouse," he replied tersely. "Your mixer is audible through the ceiling." "I'm so sorry," she grimaced. "I'm testing recipes for a workshop tomorrow." I didn't realize the sound traveled. Ethan's gaze moved past her to the small kitchen visible behind her. Bowls, ingredients, and baking sheets covered every surface. The apartment was modestly furnished, nothing like the luxury units typically occupied in this building. "How did you end up here?" he asked, unable to mask his curiosity. The building's rent was well beyond what a community baking instructor could afford. "My aunt owns the unit. She's in Europe for 6 months and offered it to me while my building undergoes repairs." Olivia leaned against the doorframe. "I promised to finish up quickly." The scent of vanilla and cinnamon drifted from her apartment, reminding Ethan of the pastry he'd been unable to forget. "Just keep it down after midnight," he said, less sternly than intended. As he turned to leave, she called after him, "Would you like one?" as an apology for the noise. Ethan paused, knowing he should refuse. "What kind?" "Cinnamon cardamom knots," Olivia said, holding the door wider. "They'll be ready in 10 minutes. Against his better judgment, Ethan stepped inside. Her apartment was the mirror layout of his, but where his was minimalist and monochromatic, hers was warm chaos, cookbooks stacked on coffee tables, a worn sofa with colorful pillows. And the kitchen that looked like a small bakery had exploded. "I'll just be a minute," he said, standing awkwardly near the door. "You can sit," Olivia offered, returning to her mixer. "Unless billionaire CEOs don't sit on second-hand furniture." The corner of his mouth twitched. "How did you know I was a CEO?" "I Googled you after our dinner. Ethan Blackwell, CEO of Blackwell Innovations, 34. Never married, known for ruthless efficiency and strategic brilliance." She glanced over her shoulder. "The articles didn't mention your sweet tooth." "I don't have a sweet tooth," he insisted. "Says the man who showed up at my door at midnight for a cinnamon knot. I came to complain about the noise." Olivia smiled as she opened the oven. "Of course you did." The fresh pastries filled the apartment with a warm, spiced aroma that made Ethan's resistance weaken. She placed one on a plate and handed it to him. "Why anonymous?" he asked suddenly. "Your blog. Why not use it to build a name for yourself?" Olivia considered the question while wiping her hands. "Because once you become a name, people stop seeing you. They see what they want from you." Their eyes met, and Ethan felt an uncomfortable recognition. "I should go," he said, taking the pastry. "Probably," she agreed. Ruthless efficiency awaits tomorrow. At precisely 7:30 a.m., Ethan's doorbell rang. He opened it to find Olivia holding a small bakery box. "Sorry, scones," she announced, "for keeping you up with my midnight baking frenzy." Ethan was already dressed for work in a tailored suit, while she wore jeans and a simple blouse, her hair pulled back in a loose ponytail. "This isn't necessary," he said, though he accepted the box. "Neighborly peace offering. Coffee's included." She handed him a to-go cup. "Black, no sugar. I figured that's how you'd take it." "You figured correctly." He took a sip, surprised by the quality. "This isn't from the lobby cafe. My own blend. Another specialty." Ethan studied her. This woman who kept appearing in his carefully structured life with unexpected offerings. "You make a habit of feeding strangers." "Only the ones who look like they forget to eat when they're working." She glanced past him into his apartment. Spotless, monochromatic, with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the city. "Wow, it's like a museum in there." "I prefer the term organized," he replied. "It's beautiful," she acknowledged, "but a little cold." Something about her honesty disarmed him. People didn't speak to Ethan Blackwell this way, directly, without agenda or flattery. "Thank you for the scones," he said formally. "And I should apologize for my abruptness last night." Olivia smiled. Apology accepted. Neighbors should be honest with each other, right? As she turned to leave, Ethan realized he was still holding the door open, watching her walk away. For the next week, Ethan found himself listening for sounds from the apartment below. Sometimes he heard faint music or the gentle whir of her mixer, always before 11 p.m. now. They passed each other occasionally in the elevator or lobby. Each time, their exchanges grew less formal, evolving into something almost familiar. On Friday morning, they entered the elevator simultaneously from the parking garage. "Early meeting?" Olivia asked, noticing his more formal than usual attire. "Board presentation," Ethan confirmed. "Quarterly review." "Sounds thrilling," she teased. "About as thrilling as flower measurements." She laughed, a genuine sound that echoed in the small space. "Touché." The elevator stopped at her floor. As she moved to exit, she turned back. "Good luck with your board. Show them who's boss." "I'm the boss," he reminded her. "Even bosses need luck sometimes." As the doors began to close, Ethan impulsively held them open. "Are you baking tonight?" Olivia looked surprised by his question. "Probably." "Why?" "No reason. Just keep it down," he said, though his tone lacked any real annoyance. She smiled knowingly. "I'll save you something." As she handed him her coffee cup, he hadn't noticed she was carrying two. Their fingers brushed. Neither pulled away immediately, the brief contact sending an unexpected current between them. The doors closed before Ethan could respond, leaving him holding her coffee and wondering why his heart rate had accelerated. Olivia's anonymous food blog, Midnight Flower, had a modest but dedicated following. She posted weekly recipes, baking tips, and occasionally, stories about her community classes. She was careful never to show her face or use her real name, signing each post simply as The Night Baker. That Tuesday, she uploaded a post about inspiration striking at unexpected times. The accompanying photo showed her kitchen counter with a freshly baked pastry, a coffee cup in the corner of the frame. She hadn't noticed that the cup's sleeve bore the Blackwell Innovations logo, a corporate gift. Ethan had absently left at her apartment during one of their increasingly frequent evening conversations. By Wednesday morning, her phone wouldn't stop buzzing with notifications. A popular gossip account had reposted her photo with the caption, "Exclusive. Mystery baker in romantic entanglement with billionaire CEO Ethan Blackwell." Swipe to see his personalized coffee cup in her midnight baking session. Power couple, midnight love. The post had gone viral, with business publications picking up the story. Blackwell's secret romance. Tech titan finds love with culinary creator. Olivia stared at her phone in horror as she scrolled through hundreds of comments speculating about her identity and relationship with Ethan. Some had already connected her anonymous blog to her community workshops, posting photos of her teaching. Her anonymity was evaporating by the minute. When her phone rang displaying Ethan Blackwell, her stomach dropped. "Have you seen it?" she asked immediately upon answering. "My office, 1 hour," he said, his voice tense and controlled. "Security will bring you up through the private elevator." "Ethan, I'm so sorry." "Not on the phone," he cut her off. 1 hour. The line went dead, leaving Olivia staring at her phone, wondering how a simple photo had just exploded her carefully separated worlds. Blackwell Innovations occupied the top 10 floors of a gleaming downtown skyscraper. Olivia followed a stone-faced security guard through a private entrance and into an elevator that required a keycard. The doors opened directly into a vast office with panoramic city views. Ethan stood at the window, his back to her, while 2 people in suits huddled over tablets nearby. "Mr. Blackwell, Ms. Matthews has arrived," the security guard announced. Ethan turned, his expression unreadable. "Thank you. That will be all." He gestured to the others. "Give us the room." When they were alone, Olivia spoke first. "I never meant for this to happen. I didn't even notice your cup was in the frame." Ethan's jaw tightened. "The board called an emergency meeting this morning. Our stock dipped 3 points on speculation about my personal distraction. I'll delete the post and issue a clarification." "It's too late for that," he interrupted, handing her a tablet. "It's everywhere." The screen displayed dozens of articles, each with variations of the same speculation. Some included photos of Ethan entering her building. Others showed zoomed-in images of them in the elevator together. "My PR team is drafting a statement," Ethan continued. "We need to get ahead of this narrative." Olivia felt a chill. "Narrative? This isn't a story, Ethan. These are our lives." For a moment, his professional mask slipped, revealing something vulnerable. "My personal life has always been private. This company, my reputation, they're built on control and predictability. And I've ruined that," she said quietly. Ethan ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, the first sign of disorder she'd seen in him. "No, I did. I should have been more careful." The admission hung between them, loaded with unspoken implications. "We have options," Ethan said, regaining his composure. "My team suggests 3 approaches." Olivia sat in one of the sleek chairs facing his desk, feeling small in the massive office. "First option, complete denial. We issue statements that we're merely neighbors and acquaintances. Second, we acknowledge a friendship, but nothing romantic. Third, we say nothing and let it die down naturally." "Which do you prefer?" Olivia asked. Ethan studied her for a moment. "Surprisingly, my PR director recommends the third option. She thinks a denial might fuel more speculation. So we just ignore it?" "Not exactly." He paced near the window. "We don't feed it, but we don't actively fight it either. We continue as normal." Olivia frowned. "What does normal mean in this situation?" "You continue your work. I continue mine. We remain neighbors." He paused. though it would be best to avoid being photographed together for a while. Something in his careful wording made Olivia's chest tighten. You want me to stay away from you in public, just until this blows over. And in private, those conversations in my kitchen. Are those still allowed? She hadn't meant to sound bitter, but the words came out sharp. Ethan's expression softened almost imperceptibly. Olivia, I'm trying to protect both of us. My world comes with scrutiny you're not accustomed to. I understand, she said, standing. Your reputation is important. It's not just about reputation. It's fine, Ethan. Really. She gathered her purse. I should go. I have a class to teach this afternoon. As she reached the door, Ethan called after her. Olivia. She turned. For what it's worth, he said quietly. Those conversations in your kitchen are the most honest ones I've had in years. She nodded once, unsure what to do with this confession that changed nothing about their circumstances. The next morning, Olivia arrived at the community center kitchen to find it unusually busy. The director, Marion, rushed over to her with an excited expression. Olivia, did you know about this? About what? Marion gestured around the kitchen where staff were unpacking boxes of professional-grade baking equipment. New mixers, silicone mats, high-end measuring tools, and ingredients. It all arrived an hour ago with this. Marion handed her an envelope. Inside was a simple card with Blackwell Innovations logo and a handwritten note. For the children's program, no publicity needed. Olivia stared at the note, emotions conflicting. The gesture was thoughtful, generous, and completely in line with Ethan's approach to problems. Solve them efficiently, from a distance. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Check the supply closet. In the closet, she found a small box containing a single perfect pastry, identical to the one she'd brought to their blind date, with a note. Not bad at all. Despite herself, Olivia smiled. That afternoon, as her class ended, she noticed a black town car parked outside. The driver approached as the children dispersed. Ms. Matthews. Mr. Blackwell sent me to purchase your remaining inventory for a company event. Before she could respond, he handed her an envelope containing cash, far more than the pastries were worth, and began carefully loading her baked goods into insulated carriers. That evening, her phone buzzed again. The board loved them, especially the cardamom knots. Olivia typed back. Is this your way of apologizing for yesterday? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then reappeared. It's my way of supporting your work without complicating things. She considered this, then replied. Thank you for the equipment. The kids were thrilled. After a pause, another message appeared. My kitchen is too quiet tonight. Olivia stared at those 5 words, reading between the lines of what Ethan couldn't directly say. Finally, she responded. Mine too. 2 weeks later, Olivia received an email from the community center director. Exciting news! Blackwell Innovations has selected our baking program for their annual charity spotlight. They're filming a documentary about community impact programs, and our classes will be featured prominently. Their CEO specifically requested you as the instructor representative. Attached was a formal invitation to a planning meeting at Blackwell headquarters. When Olivia arrived, she was escorted to a conference room where Ethan sat with his executive team and the documentary producers. Ms. Matthews, he greeted her formally, standing as she entered. Thank you for joining us. She matched his professional tone. Thank you for selecting our program. Throughout the meeting, they maintained a careful distance, speaking to each other only when necessary about project details. The producers outlined their vision. A 6-week documentary following children from underserved communities as they learned baking skills. We'll need footage of the instructors working directly with the children, the lead producer explained. Mr. Blackwell has agreed to participate in several sessions as part of the company's hands-on approach to philanthropy. Olivia glanced at Ethan, who was reviewing documents, his expression neutral. Is that something you're comfortable with, Ms. Matthews? The producer asked, working closely with Mr. Blackwell on camera. Before she could answer, Ethan looked up. Their eyes met across the table, the first direct contact they'd had in weeks. Ms. Matthews is our most qualified instructor, he said. I'll follow her lead. After the meeting, Ethan caught up with her at the elevator, I should have warned you, he said quietly. About being volunteered for a documentary. Yes, you should have. The board suggested it as positive PR. I thought you'd decline. These kids deserve the exposure and support, she replied as the elevator arrived. I'm not going to let rumors get in the way of that. As the doors closed between them, Ethan's expression held something like admiration. Camera crews filled the community center kitchen for the first filming session. Children aged 8 to 12 gathered around workstations, while Olivia demonstrated cookie-cutting techniques. Ethan arrived halfway through, causing a stir among both the children and film crew. He traded his usual suit for dark jeans and a cashmere sweater with sleeves rolled up, an outfit clearly selected by his PR team to appear approachable, yet still affluent. Mr. Blackwell will be joining us today, Olivia announced to the class. He's here to learn just like you, so please help him if he gets confused. The children giggled, and Ethan raised an eyebrow at her. I've been briefed on the recipe, he said quietly as he took position at her demonstration table. Briefed, she whispered back. It's cookies, Ethan, not a corporate takeover. A tiny smile cracked his professional veneer. I excel at following precise instructions. Baking requires feeling, not just precision. The cameras captured their interaction as Olivia guided Ethan's hands through the dough-rolling process. She tried to ignore the warmth of his presence beside her, the subtle scent of his cologne, the way his fingers moved with unexpected gentleness. Now we'll cut shapes, she instructed the class, distributing cookie cutters. 8-year-old Mia handed Ethan a heart-shaped cutter with solemn importance. You should make heart cookies with Ms. Olivia. Oh, any shape is fine, Olivia said quickly. But my grandma says when two people look at each other like that, they're meant to be together, Mia announced with childhood certainty. The room fell silent. The cameras zoomed in on their faces. Ethan cleared his throat. Your grandma sounds very wise, Mia, he said, accepting the heart cutter. Let's see if I can get this right. After the children left and the camera crew packed up, Olivia and Ethan remained to clean the kitchen. The production assistant had suggested capturing this authentic moment of collaboration, but Ethan had firmly declined, insisting on privacy. They worked in companionable silence, Olivia washing mixing bowls while Ethan dried them with surprising efficiency. You're good with the children, he said finally. They're good for me. Honest in a way adults rarely are. Ethan placed a bowl on the shelf. Like Mia and her heart cookies, Olivia felt her cheeks warm. Kids say whatever comes to mind. Is that why you teach them? For the honesty, she considered this as she scrubbed a particularly stubborn spot of dried dough. Partly, but mostly because creating something makes them feel powerful in a world where they often feel powerless. Ethan stopped drying, watching her with intensity. You give them control. I give them tools. They create the control themselves. As she handed him the last bowl, their fingers brushed beneath the soapy water. Neither pulled away immediately. Olivia, Ethan began, his voice lower than usual. These past weeks, the door swung open as the janitor arrived, breaking the moment. They stepped apart. Olivia quickly wiping her hands on a towel, while Ethan straightened his already perfect posture. I should go, she said, gathering her things. Early class tomorrow. Ethan nodded, his expression once again composed. The car will take you home. I can take the bus, it's fine. Please, he said. And something in his tone made it impossible to refuse. It's late. As she left, Olivia wondered what he had been about to say in that moment of connection, and whether he would ever find the courage to say it again. The documentary series gained unexpected traction online. Clips of Ethan, awkwardly kneading dough under Olivia's patient guidance, went viral, humanizing the notoriously private CEO. Business publications noted Blackwell innovation stock rising as public perception shifted favorably. Olivia was preparing for class when her phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Is this Olivia Matthews? A crisp female voice asked. Yes, who's calling? Eleanor Blackwell, Ethan's grandmother. Olivia nearly dropped the phone. Mrs. Blackwell, how can I help you? By accepting my lunch invitation tomorrow. The Bristol Hotel, 1 o'clock. Before Olivia could respond, Eleanor continued. I rarely request meetings with people in my grandson's life, but you've made quite an impression. Mrs. Blackwell, I'm not actually in Ethan's life, not the way people think. 1 o'clock, Miss Matthews. I'm punctual to a fault. The line went dead. The next day, Olivia entered the Bristol's elegant restaurant to find an impeccably dressed older woman at a corner table. Eleanor Blackwell had the same penetrating gaze as her grandson, though hers was framed by silver hair and fine wrinkles. You're 3 minutes early, Eleanor noted approvingly. Sit. Throughout lunch, Eleanor asked direct questions about Olivia's background, education, and ambitions. Olivia answered honestly, refusing to pretend to be someone she wasn't. You know, Eleanor said as dessert arrived, Ethan has never brought anyone to family dinners, not once in 15 years. We're not dating, Mrs. Blackwell. Eleanor waved this away. I watched that documentary footage. My grandson doesn't look at business associates the way he looks at you. Olivia felt her cheeks warm. It's complicated. It always is with the Blackwell men. Eleanor's expression softened. My late husband was the same. Brilliant with business, terrible with feelings. As they parted, Eleanor clasped Olivia's hand. Whatever is complicated between you two, remember this. Blackwells only change course for things they truly value. The documentary's success culminated in a charity gala at the Blackwell Foundation. As a featured program, Olivia's baking class was invited to provide desserts and give a short presentation. She arrived early to oversee the dessert table setup, wearing a borrowed dress that made her feel both elegant and out of place among the wealthy attendees. She hadn't Ethan privately since their moment in the kitchen, though they'd maintained professional contact through the documentary filming. As she arranged the display, a striking woman in a designer gown approached. So you're the baker everyone's talking about, the woman said, her voice cultured and cool. Olivia straightened. I'm Olivia Matthews, yes. Victoria Harrington. The woman extended a manicured hand. Ethan and I dated for nearly 2 years. The board was quite certain we would announce an engagement. Olivia kept her expression neutral. It's nice to meet you. Victoria examined the dessert display with a critical eye. Quaint, very homemade. That's the point. The children made these themselves. Victoria sipped her champagne. A word of advice from someone who knows Ethan well. Don't mistake professional interest for personal investment. Ethan excels at making people feel special when they serve a purpose. Before Olivia could respond, Victoria leaned closer. Let's be honest, darling. You're a charming diversion, but you're not exactly in his league, are you? When the cameras stop rolling and the PR value fades, so will his attention. Olivia felt the words like a physical blow, but kept her composure. Thank you for your concern. Just looking out for you. These worlds don't mix well. Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. Ethan needs someone who understands his position, someone who fits. As Victoria glided away, Olivia noticed Ethan watching from across the room, his expression unreadable. Ethan approached moments after Victoria left. His brow furrowed. What did she say to you? Nothing I haven't thought myself, Olivia replied, adjusting a display card with trembling fingers. Olivia, it's fine, Ethan. She was just being honest about the situation. His jaw tightened. Victoria doesn't know anything about what? Olivia interrupted, suddenly tired of dancing around the truth. About us. Is there even an us to know about? Ethan glanced around, aware of eyes watching them. This isn't the place. It never is, she said quietly. There's always a reason we can't have a real conversation. Cameras, reputation, board members, stock prices. That's not fair. What's not fair is letting me believe there might be something real here while you calculate every interaction for maximum benefit. She straightened her borrowed dress. Victoria's right. I don't belong in your world. She's wrong, Ethan insisted, but his delayed defense only confirmed her fears. You should have said that immediately, Olivia said, not after thinking about how to respond. The event coordinator approached, breaking their tension. Ms. Matthews, we're ready for your presentation whenever you are. Olivia nodded. I'll be right there. When they were alone again, she looked at Ethan directly. I need to finish this event for the children's sake, but after tonight, I think it's best if we return to being just neighbors. Something flashed in his eyes, pain, perhaps, or simply frustration at a situation outside his control. But he merely nodded, his CEO mask firmly in place. Of course. Whatever you think is best. His easy acquiescence hurt more than Victoria's cutting remarks. The next morning, Olivia received an email that had been forwarded to her accidentally. It contained an internal PR memo from Blackwell Innovations. Re-EBOM situation. Per our discussion, will maintain the current strategy of neither confirming nor denying relationship rumors. The positive public response to the documentary series suggests this narrative benefits company image. Recommend allowing speculation to continue through completion of charity program. Note, EB has approved this approach. Olivia read the email 3 times, each reading more painful than the last. Ethan had not only allowed the rumors to continue, he had approved the strategy. Her phone rang. Ethan's name appeared on the screen. I got an email, she said immediately upon answering. From your PR department. Silence on the other end, then. I can explain. You approved letting people think we were together because it was good for your image. It wasn't like that, Ethan said, his voice tense. The board was pressuring me to distance myself from you completely. This was the compromise that let us continue working together. A compromise that used me without my knowledge. I was protecting the program. Stop. Olivia's voice broke. Just stop pretending this was about the program or the children. You could have told me the truth. You could have asked me. Olivia, please. I trusted you, she whispered. I defended you to myself every time I felt like a prop in your corporate narrative. I told myself there was something real beneath the strategy. His silence confirmed everything. Goodbye, Ethan. That evening, she left a small package at his door, a cookie broken in half with a note. Some things can't be whole if only one person is trying. 3 days passed without contact. Olivia threw herself into her classes, ignoring the ache in her chest whenever she heard movement from the penthouse above. On the 4th night, a knock came at her door just after midnight. She opened it to find Ethan standing there, looking unlike she'd ever seen him. Hair uncombed, tie loosened, holding something wrapped in a napkin. I made this, he said, unwrapping a misshapen, clearly burned cookie. It took 4 attempts. Olivia stared at the blackened edges. You baked. Terribly. His usual confidence was nowhere in his voice. Can I come in, please? She hesitated, then stepped aside. Ethan placed the burned cookie on her counter. I've never made anything with my hands before, not once in 34 years. Why start now? Because I needed to understand. He looked directly at her. I needed to understand what it means to create something that isn't perfect, but is honest. Olivia crossed her arms. Ethan, I was wrong, he interrupted. About everything. The PR strategy, not defending you immediately with Victoria, keeping you at a safe distance while still wanting you in my life. Why did you? She asked quietly. He ran a hand through his disheveled hair. Because I don't know how to do this. My entire life is built on control and calculation. Every relationship I've had has been strategic, until you. And what am I? The first person who made me wish I knew how to be real. His voice dropped. The first person I couldn't bear to lose, even if it meant risking everything else. I don't know how to trust you, Olivia said, keeping distance between them. How do I know this isn't another calculated move? Ethan gestured to himself, his rumpled appearance, the burned cookie, the vulnerability in his eyes. Does this look calculated to you? I've spent 3 days trying to figure out how to fix this. My assistant quit because I couldn't focus on work. I burned 4 batches of cookies using a recipe meant for children. Despite herself, Olivia felt a smile threatening. 4 batches. The first one caught fire. He stepped closer. I'm not good at failing, Olivia. I'm not good at being vulnerable. But I'm trying, because you deserve that. What exactly are you trying to say? Ethan took a deep breath. I'm saying I fell in love with you somewhere between that first pastry and watching you teach children to create something beautiful. I'm saying I was terrified of those feelings because they can't be controlled or predicted. He reached for her hand, his touch hesitant. I'm saying I need you, not for PR or image or any strategy, just because my life makes more sense when you're in it. Olivia looked at their joined hands, then at his face, open, unguarded, waiting. I need honesty, she said finally. Complete honesty, even when it's difficult. Always, he promised. No more calculation, no more silence. Sunlight streamed through the windows of Midnight Flower, Olivia's boutique bakery in the heart of downtown. Former students from her community program now worked as paid apprentices, learning business skills alongside baking techniques. The bell chimed as Ethan entered, carrying a small bouquet of wildflowers, her favorite. Right on time, she smiled, coming around the counter to greet him. I had excellent motivation. He kissed her cheek, then presented the flowers. Happy anniversary. 1 year since the night of the burned cookie. 1 year of building something real, something honest. The investors loved your presentation, he told her, watching proudly as she arranged the flowers. The community apprenticeship program is approved for full funding. Our program, she corrected. Your business expertise made it viable. Customers filled the bakery, many recognizing Ethan from the now famous documentary that had expanded into a successful series about community empowerment. As the afternoon crowd thinned, Ethan led Olivia to a quiet corner table where a small box waited. What's this? She asked. Open it. Inside was a simple ring with a single diamond. I thought about grand gestures, Ethan said, taking her hand. But that's not us. What we have is real because it's honest, sometimes messy, never perfect, but always true. Olivia's eyes filled with tears as he continued. Olivia Matthews, will you marry me? Not for image or expectation, but because I love who I am when I'm with you. Yes, she whispered. Because I love who we are together.